One of the biggest pluses from BlackKklansman is that there's been like a reevaluation of my work.
Mr. Spike Lee.
What's up?
So I gotta ask you, man, the Oscars is popping up. BlackKklansman will make you the 6th black director to be nominated for an Oscar. Does that mean progress? How does that make you feel? And what do you like about your chances?
You know, we've been working on this since really the world debut of the film in Cannes. Been doing interviews, and that Academy Award campaign, that's like you're a politician.
Yes.
There's a lot of similarities. You know,
Shaking hands, kissing babies, all that.
All that, hugs, a lot of selfies. I mean, you just got to do that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the days of, you know, Woody Allen would even show up and still getting an Oscar, that don't happen no more. Mm. You know, people want to see you. So you just know going in, that's the way it is. Leaving for LA tomorrow.
Wow.
And Sunday night, Sunday morning, I'm on a plane to Thailand, you know, to shoot the next film. So it's...
It never stops for you, does it?
Like, what did Jay-Z say? What do you rap? On to the next.
Yeah, yeah.
On to the next.
The one thing that I really love about the story, before we get into everything else, is it's absurd. BlackKklansman is an absurd, like if you put it in front of me and said, this is the premise of the story, I'd be like, okay, somebody's gonna get fired because this did not happen. When you read about it, when you read the book, like what, like,
no, I mean, the way it happened was that Jordan Peele called me. Wow. So he gave me the pitch over the phone. 6-word pitch. Black man infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan.
That's all you needed to hear.
Well, at first I said, David Chappelle did this already. I said, nah, this is real.
Ooh.
And I mean, I love this, so no disrespect to David, that's a skit. This Ron Stallworth is alive. Mm-hmm. He was the first African-American detective in the Colorado Springs Police Department. Mm. He infiltrated the Klan, had many conversations with David Duke on the phone, and eventually ended up being his bodyguard. Mm-hmm. So it's a crazy story, but it's true.
And you mixed a lot of real instances that happened. Charlottesville, I mean, a lot of things that you mixed in there, man. Historical movies that you mixed in there, like.
You know, we had Gone with the Wind,
mm-hmm.
Birth of a Nation. There's a scene where we show posters from Black exploitation films. And then the film ends with Dakota, Charlottesville.
How heavy was it editing that part?
Well, I have a great editor, my longtime editor, Barry Browner, who also got his first nomination as editor.
Yes.
And we had seen stuff on CNN, but we wanted to show stuff that no one's ever seen. So with our researcher, my longtime researcher, Judy Ailey, she was able to, like, there's a drone shot. You see, no one saw that before. Then we put an ad in the Charlottesville newspaper and got stuff, because everybody is a journalist now. Yeah. If you got a phone,
it's out.
You got a camera, you're a journalist. So we get a lot of stuff that had, again, had never been seen before, and we just put it all together. And the thing that makes it all come together is that Q, the Terrence Blanchard, was originally from Inside Man. It's called Photo Op. Mm-hmm. And I used it again in the documentaries about Katrina, when the levees broke, and If God Is Willing, the Creek Don't Rise. So,
is there a reason why you keep coming back to it?
I love that piece. I love it.
She's Gotta Have It. I saw some of the second season of it. and it's jarring. Like the first 25 minutes of it, it's like you're making us like nervous. Like everything that can go wrong happens. Like, you know, you see Opal in the beginning, but then you see the divorce. Then you see Marge get kicked out. Like what were you trying to, like, what are you trying to do with that first episode, man? Like,
well, we got to ramp it up.
yeah.
We want a third season.
Yeah.
We want a third season. Ted, my man, what's up, baby? 3 seasons.
So how do you feel about
Netflix.
How do you feel about their journeys for these characters? Because
here's the thing, when you do something, you know, our goal was to have 5 seasons. That's the goal. So, in order to achieve that goal, you gotta mix it up. You have to let it be interesting. You have to expand people's stories, their storyline, and keep it interesting.
Opal seems to be Nola's fallback. Like she seems to be like every man has that woman that they kind of fall back to when things just collapse on them, and she's the woman for Nola. Like, would you say that? Is it?
Well, I don't know if it's a fallback, but there's just some people that they try to make it work, and for whatever reason, it ain't working. But you also have to consider that Opal is a mother. She has a child. Nola doesn't have any children, so that's a different mindset.
That's like a whole nother ballgame.
That's a whole different mindset.
Gentrification comes up heavy. Like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I'm like, whoa, like you are really planting your flag, you know, like what?
No, we started that. Here's the thing though. We were talking about gentrification, do the right thing. I wrote that script in 1988.
With the Jordans and the Bird.
John Savage with the Larry Bird shirt, no disrespect, Mr. Bird, steps on bugging outs Jordans. So we were on gentrification way before everybody else. Go watch the movie again. We're talking gentrification. I wrote in 88, came out 89. That's 30 years ago.
You saw it already. You saw it with your third eye already.
I saw it. We saw it. We were talking about global warming and gentrification. We were talking about global warming and do the right thing. And police brutality. That's 30 years ago.
You kind of mentioned that a little bit with Bamboozled as well. Like that.
This whole blackface thing?
Yes.
Bamboozled came out 2000.
It's crazy. Like you had to be thinking when all of this is going down, like, I told y'all this, I said this.
Look, all I can do is put it out, and they get it 30 years later. What can I say? They're late. People trying to. There's no more Bamboozled out of stock. You can't get a DVD. Everybody's feeling like a drug addict to get a DVD of
Right.
Bamboozled now. You can't get it.
Why is that?
It went out of stock.
Just like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it hasn't been made in years. We're going to come out with the Criterion collection, but which brings me to this. One of the biggest pluses from BlackKklansman is that there's been like a reevaluation of my work.
Right.
Bamboozled, people slept in that film. 25th Hour. You know, there's many more. So I'm glad about that. The people going back and look at the films.
What do you think people missed about those films early on?
Look, as an artist, you just gotta put it out. How many great albums did people miss when they came out? Or novels, or paintings. So there's a lot of times when it hits, it doesn't make the impact right away, and it takes accumulation of time for people to, you know, it's like, oh shit, how'd I miss this?
You talked about gentrification. What do you miss about the old Brooklyn, your Brooklyn?
Well, there are pluses and minuses of gentrification, but at what cost? Oh, we have a Whole Foods now here in Fort Greene. We got an Apple store. But these skyscrapers they're building, and I mean, my parents bought our brownstone 1968, $40,000. Facing Fort Greene Park. Back then, they didn't even list Fort Greene. They would say downtown vicinity. Like it's the fort. It was the fort.
Right.
Black and Puerto Rican, working class. But it was always strange because on Myrtle Avenue you got the projects.
Right.
It was literally like the train tracks. On the other side of Myrtle you had the brownstones. But many of these brownstones were owned by African American homeowners. And there's been a change in the neighborhood. So it's it's a very complex thing. The thing about gentrification is that what people leave out is white flight. That's how it started.
Right.
Well, people leaving the city, moving to the suburbs, and everything they thought they were leaving came out the suburbs too. And then they woke up and said, why am I spending 4 hours in a car going to work and back? If I live in the city, I could ride my bike over the Williamsburg Bridge. I could ride my bike on Manhattan Bridge, over the Brooklyn Bridge. These houses, these brownstones are nice.
Yep.
I can get a house with the backyard.
Move my family and everything.
With the stoop.
That's
and
crazy.
then people get misplaced. When I was growing up here in Fort Greene, garbage rarely got picked up. You call the police, they might show up. Public schools, PS20, PS11, were not good. Now, there's a lot of police presence. Now, the public schools are great because not everybody can afford private school. And even if you can afford it, you still might be able to get into St. Anne's, Brooklyn Friends, Packer, even if you got money. Matt Damon tried to get his kids in the St. Anne's. He couldn't get in.
He couldn't even get in.
So therefore, I mean, now the public schools are great here. So I've always had this thought, because the complexion of neighborhood changes, now we get service that we all pay for from the get-go.
That's one thing I love about She's Got a Habit, because you give love to the public school system, like on the sly. I see what you're doing. It's kind of like you're saying, like you even jab the other type of charter schools a little bit. You give them a little business over there a little bit. Like, what is it about that dichotomy between the charter school and the public school that you kind of wanted to make known in that little instance?
Man, I still understand these charter schools because sometimes, it can be shady. So, but I've always been interested in education. I'm a tenured professor of film at NYU, but I'm a product of New York City public school, from kindergarten to high school. I went to PS 29s at Cobble Hill, then PS 7, 8, junior high school 294. They changed. It's another number, but before it was Rothschild. It was terrible. And then I went to Coney Island, to John Dewey High School.
These places are like where the people with money go now. Like, this is like where,
Well, we were the first black family moving to Cobble Hill. And then that's when mother said we should stop renting. And we moved from Cobble Hill to Fort Greene and brought the brownstone.
Nola's such a complex character. Sometimes you want to scream at her, like you shake her a little bit, and then you say to yourself, well, why am I shaking her? She's just living her life. Like, how do you do that?
She's trying to navigate life. I mean, she has think that, to me, that makes a much more interesting character. She's not perfect. And you were absolutely right. People told me before, like, just walking the street, why did Noel do this? Why did Noel do that? When is she gonna grow up? When is she gonna be more mature? But that's Nola Darling.
That's, it's like you're watching it and you're cringing because of the choices she's making. And then you remember, how was I at that age? Like, what kind of choices did I make? Well,
some of that stuff, she's kind of old to be doing anyway. But if you look, something that's been in all my films, the choices people make and the ramifications of those choices. And Nola Darling, I mean, that really says it. You know?
We talked about it off camera, the time traveling movie that it's so, it kind of reminds me like that.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it yet, but.
See it yesterday.
And it kind of gives me that feeling just off jump of like the black sci-fi stuff I used to watch, like Brother from Another Planet. Like stuff like that was really socially conscious, but sci-fi. What made you get him with that project, and how did you see it through?
The filmmaker, Stefan, was a student of mine at NYU. And so he had his thesis film was a short of this.
Wow. And
he expanded it to this feature. So.
That has to be trippy for you, to see something like that. Like,
no, it happened before with Dee Reese, Pariah. It was a short first, her thesis film, and she made that into a feature.
How do you feel when something like that happens, when you see people that you
it feels great. It feels great that these filmmakers of color are, doing their thing. Especially for Dee. I mean, Dee's a sister, so, that's much harder in the industry.
The whole point of the film of going back in time and stopping the murder by police, that's as big as you can get in terms of a topic of what we face today. You like doing that. You like kind of like, I'm not going to tell you the answers of things. I'm just going to.
Yeah, but this is I produced it, but this is Stefan's film. He wrote it, did a great job directing it. Wow. I'm very happy with the film.
When is it coming out?
I think May. So we're very excited and how people respond to it. I think it's gonna be a great response.
So let's go back to the Oscars, man. You're sitting there. They name your name, best director, best movie, whatever.
Whatever, ain't no whatever.
I mean, what will you say? Like, what would your speech be? How would it be an emotional moment for you? Because I don't really see you as an emotional cat. You
what?
Don't really.
You ever see me in a Knick game? You crazy? You crazy? You just see me and Reggie Miller, man.
I mean, that's a different type of emotion. That's like.
No. You ain't see me like that because the Knicks stink.
You think Dolan's gonna sell?
No, he's never selling that team.
Wow.
But if certain things happen, it's gonna be rocking like in the old days at the Garden.
He's got the brothers in charge though, man. Those brothers are doing it. Like they're making all the right moves.
We got
cutting the costs.
We got two cap players. We're gonna have one of the three. We have a chance to get the top pick. Zion from Duke.
Well, I hope you guys don't get him. I hope my Bulls get him.
Who?
My Bulls.
Who?
My Chicago Bulls. I hope they get him.
You better hope Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and Dennis Rodman come back.
Don't put that on us. So how do you like your chances in terms of the Oscars, man? Like I know you say you just do the work. I know you said this is just how you are.
It's yesterday the voting ended. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
And I guess I got to leave you with this. Who do you want, KD? AD?
I can't go on record.
Was that tampering rules or something?
They were looking at me funny the All-Star game. In Charlotte, I just came back. They're looking at me. Certain players don't even want to look at me. I'm about to go there.
Spike, it's always
my man.
Thank you.
Thank you.